It's not just, the genetic material that's lost and the flavor, but it's also the culture that's created around those foods and the individuality that they each have. When you say it's just like a soft white wheat, no one has any feelings connected to that. But if you talk about White Sonora wheat, all of a sudden you're talking about a food that has a place. There's a whole culture that surrounds that food that also gets lost, I think, when we sort of homogenize our food sources. This is what we started with. 10 years ago, we grew 10 acres of White Sonora, and now we have hundreds of acres of all different types of heritage grains.
So you take one of those seeds, plant in the ground, and from that one seed, it will come up with a whole bunch of stems, and then those stems will have a head. If you look at the head, you'll see all of these rows of seeds. And sometimes the grain is designated by row, 2 row, 4 row, 6 row, 8 row. These rows create babies, and then the babies develop into more seeds. And those seeds filled with things that we break apart when we mill and we make flour. So yeah, these little things make this 50-pound bag of flour. Yeah, that's how it works. It's amazing. Hey, an interesting thing, if these weren't pushed down, they're very, very, very tall. These stems of wheat are real tall. Sometimes they get as high as 6 feet, and that's called standard height wheat. That's how wheat grew until the 1960s, and then someone got the great idea, hey, let's see if we can make wheat shorter. Then most of the energy for this wheat is going up to making the fruit and not making this long stem. If you were to go into a modern wheat field, that's about how tall it would be out of the ground. It's very short. You get really high yields. But because it's close to the soil, then there's a lot of diseases that can come up from the soil. And so the farmer needs to apply chemicals to his field to keep that from happening. This wheat here, what you see on top, generally the root structure will be really deep below. What's really happening with this grain is beneath us, under the soil, and then this is just the product of that interaction. But the yield will be lower. Chefs, bakers, they really like this stuff because of the flavor. And also where you have flavor, you usually have more nutrition. This is anecdotal from people who use our products. They say that they're able to eat wheat now in their diet. So there's 2 things that we hear from people. One is that they feel better when they eat it. And the second thing is that they don't need to eat as much because the nutrients are there and the flavor is there to satisfy you. These heads that we're cutting now were planted by Brent Sandstrom, who owns this property and has a passion for growing this stuff out. He's done this for several years now. And this one is, what's this one called, Brent? Sin El Peel. So it's Latin, but that's the name that's given to the variety. Very rare. I would guess that this plot that we've grown here is more than anyone else has ever grown in, at least in the United States, of this variety. So we're excited. Plant it.